of Unheard Gems. Today we are joined by a powerhouse singer-songwriter, Sophia Danai. In my eyes, she is the literal embodiment of what it means to be a strong and powerful woman in the music industry right now. So we're really glad to have you with us. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me. That was sweet.
So just so our audience can get to know you a little bit more, just your background in music, how did you start out and what have you seen as your evolution since you started?
Mm. How did I start out? Well, it was always something that I wanted, that I wanted to explore. But yeah, like coming out of high school, I was much more into acting, but I always did music like since I was a kid and wrote songs and played guitar. I just did it more like in secret, and then like just my good friends would like get me to sing at parties, but I wasn't like I'm trying to be a singer, like I'm gonna be an actor. And then it kind of like was drawing me more and more to it. I saw an amazing I saw Metric. I remember seeing like it was like yeah, like MIA was. I feel like I saw MIA and like Metric in like the same year, and I was like, okay, I need to be on that stage. I just was so inspired. I just started writing more and going to open mics and meeting people in the community, like jamming and whatever, like yeah, feeling it out. And then I just caught the bug. And what was the second part of the question?
Uh, what have you seen as your personal evolution since you started out as an artist?
Oh my God, just so many things. I feel like when I first started, I made a lot of mistakes. I trusted a lot of people. Maybe I shouldn't have. Like I didn't have the skills to be discerning with like who I worked with. I was just sort of like grabbing at every opportunity that seemed good. Like I signed a contract that wasn't really very good at all, and I just wasn't educated, and I just sort of like trusted that we were friends more. Like I was like, okay, like this seems like a good situation. I didn't do my due diligence, and so like I made that. I went through the whole process of like being in a contract, having to get myself out of contract, like learning how to do it all independently, release it on my own. Like that whole. I feel like Love Royale, when I put out Love Royale, that was like me learning how to do that, even just produce myself. Like I went back to school for just to have like basic production classes so that I could record demos from my house. So I wasn't like dependent on somebody else to record me, because I kind of like wanted that freedom of just being in my apartment and trying things out vocally. And that helped me so much. And so that whole process of like kind of like having to kind of recalibrate, learn how to do things, because when I was with, in that production deal, it was like a lot of things were done for me, but not in the right way or well, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, even though it was like, oh, I'm ahead, all these things are, it was like, I still needed to find myself as an artist. I wasn't even really ready to be like shopped in a sense when I look back, and I just didn't have the wisdom to know that. And then as I grew doing it independently and finding like, especially being able to record myself, produce myself, like it just changed everything for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
More freedom. Like nobody to answer to. Like that's nice. Nobody being like, that's what you should do. That's not so much what you should do. Or, when you're first starting out, you don't really need that. You just need time on your own to develop your craft. And then you bring people on. That's the best way to do it, right? Yeah.
So let's just dive kind of more straight into your music, because I feel like you have a really distinct style and really amazing and powerful lyrics. So what's your main inspiration when you write music?
Oh my gosh. Like I have found, well, in this last record, I feel like it's always like what's going on with me personally. You can always like tell like where I'm at with like the kind of music I'm writing, the sound, the vibe. Like it's like, especially in retrospect, like sometimes I write songs that I'm like, whoa, like I knew that I was feeling that before I even knew I was feeling that because I wrote, but my biggest inspirations, yeah, are just like what I'm going through and whatever I'm listening to at the time. I'll probably like take a little bit of everything. Like I listen to such a wide array of music, and so it's like that mixture. But yeah, and so for a long time, because I went through kind of a couple really like toxic relationships, I was just writing about that so much. Like it's like all I could write about. And with this last record, I feel like it's like I'm still writing about that, but it's in a different way. I'm like coming out of it on the other side. It's, you know, I wrote these songs to make me feel empowered, like to give me like strength to help me deal with my anger, because I was always like trying to please everyone all the time, like in my own life. And I feel like when I started to like write this music, it was like rebellious for me. It was using a different part of my voice. I was like kind of screaming in certain parts. Like I just was like going fucking balls to the wall. And you could hear that in the songs. And like some of the songs are softer on the record too. And now I find that like I'm writing, I mean, Realize is done and everything, whatever, but I'm already writing for my next project, and now I'm in just such like a light place. Like I'm fine. I'm always like joking with my friends. I'm like, I'm not writing about breakups. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like writing like fucking like dance songs, sexy songs, like songs that are just like, you know, because it's just so I just follow. I follow whatever, like where I'm at, and I'll write a song anywhere. Like if I'm out for dinner and I hear like a beat or something, and I hear something over, I'll like record. You know, like I'm always. I try to always be like open to it, or at least if I'm feeling the writing vibe, because sometimes I'm rambling so much, I'm sorry, but it's like I feel like the writing muse will be with you at certain stages, and so when it is, you need to like just be available to write, because I'm not one of those people who can like, I go through phases where I'm like, you know, more like I feel like, okay, I'm going to be writing a lot of music for a little bit, and then it kind of
goes in waves.
Yeah, so that's kind of my process, I guess, in a nutshell.
And then, so kind of more into your lyrics, I feel like you talked about being in a few toxic relationships, so obviously that probably means it's a bit hard to write songs about that. So what's been the hardest song to write or release, and why, and what are your feelings now towards that song?
Write and release. I mean, honestly, no song that I've ever written has ever been like hard. I feel like they've all been therapeutic, and like as I'm writing them and recording them, it's like therapy for me, and it's healing for me. And I might have a moment before I put them out where I'm like, shit, I'm really like saying some shit on this. I almost like don't even realize that until like the day before, and I'm like, oh man, like this is kind of intense. Like when I did come through, I was like, first of all, I was like laughing when I wrote that song. I didn't write that song. Like I wrote that song like I had experienced the pain in the past, and when I wrote Come Through, it was like, yeah, like fucking come get your goddamn shit damn way. And we were just like laughing in the studio. And even though it's from such like a real place, and you go there when I'm singing it, oh my god, that song is fucking fun to sing, because who doesn't want to say that sometimes? Like everybody in a position, like even I was performing it at a festival, and everybody is just like loves singing it. I'm like, it's so easy to get people to sing along, you know? So I'm like, we all have somebody to say that to, so we're like cathartic. And but yeah, I maybe had like a little moment before I put it out, and then I don't know, but not really. I like to push myself to be that way, because I don't get to be like that as much in my own life, right? Like, it's like my superhero version of myself where I'm just like saying whatever the fuck I want to say, right? I'm working on that in my personal life.
It's like your Sasha Fierce almost.
Not as, but you could say it without consequence in song.
So then, can you talk to us a little bit about your newest release, Guns N' Gold? So I think it's such an anthem, and when I heard it, I sent it to my friend, and they sent me this exactly. This is what a badass sounds like. So what can you tell us about that song?
Okay, well, the song is totally, well, recently, not so recently, I guess, like 3 years ago, I became freaking obsessed with the UFC, and I know that sounds like so weird, but because before that, I like honestly, I just didn't even get the UFC. I'm like, oh, I can't watch that. But then Ronda Rousey became a thing, and somebody showed me this video of her like basically taking somebody down in like less than 10 seconds. It was like something crazy, and I was like, who is this woman? And she was so cool, so badass. And I started to get into the sport, and I like just watching her fight and her story, and she was just like, she is so inspiring. And then I started getting into other fighters, like, you know, Conor McGregor. Like I started with like the big ones, and then I started to get more into like obviously GSP, but now I'm like into all of it. I'm like, I'm such a nerd about it and the reason is because like the mentality of a fighter is actually just so inspiring. Like they're putting it all on the line. Mentally, their game has to be so strong. They give so much to their craft. You know, they're just the discipline and the drive. Like they're so unapologetic for it. And I feel like I just took that inspiration into my own music. Like, you know, even just when it came to like working on my craft and being disciplined and like, you know, taking it one step at a time. And like, it's like, you know, you're just fighting yourself, really, your own bad habits, your own mental patterns that you want to break. Like, if you don't believe that you can, you know, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. And like, you know, they're freaking going in to like fight somebody. So it's like, they better believe that they can win. They don't believe that they can win. They shouldn't even be like stuff, you know. So I'm like, that mentality applies to everything. So I just started getting really into the sport. And then Guns and Gold was like, I was like, just wanted to have just like a badass, like fierce, like personal walkout song that was like, if you knock me down, I'm going to get back up. And like, you know, just that whole kind of also address that whole thing about ambition and like, there's that line with ambition, you know, where it can be dangerous, but it can also feel you. And yeah, so I just like had fun with it. And then I just got all my like amazing badass female friends together, like within under a week. Oh my God, it was crazy. And yeah, my friend who's a boxer, and she was just so dope, like fucking going at it for that shot. Like she's just, yeah, Cindy, the boxer, was just incredible. She like stole it for me.
Yeah, that literally fed right into my next question, which was, what about the music video? So what was that process like, bringing this song to life? I know that you said like the inspiration was literally, it translated to the video. So any favorite memories from shooting?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I shot it on my birthday.
That's fun.
So that was dope. And I had this concept for a while for Guns and Gold, but just the opportunity, I didn't even think I was going to shoot it because I didn't think it was going to be a single and whatever. And then John taught, like, this guy that directed Come Through and Bitter, he just got in touch with me and he was like, we had met about it, but it just didn't get off the ground. He got in touch with me. He's like, dude, I have, like, all this gear from this other shoot and I have, like, all this lighting. And he's like, if you can put a video together, this was, like, on Monday or Tuesday. He's like, if you can put a video together by Saturday, like, we could shoot. And I was like, I can. And literally, it was just a whirlwind. My friend and I, who's the stylist of the video, were together at that point, and we just started, like, talking about it, the logistics, the looks. Then we got all my looks, like, down, and then I just got in touch with all, like, freaking awesome ladies that I knew, and I just, like, I basically produced it, and it was crazy, but I, like, just reached out to my community, asked for help where I needed to ask for help, and you know, I was fired up and everything came together and we were able to shoot it in like one super fucking long day. But, yeah, the highlight was just like the whole process of it coming together that fast and how amazing it turned out. And just like it being my birthday and being with all my friends, like making art. I don't really, like, that to me is success. Like, that's why I'm doing this. So I can make art with people that I think are wicked. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm doing winning. So It was super sweet. And then it turned out and I got to be like really badass. I'm gonna keep this trajectory now.
Yeah, for sure. So that video was also premiered on Billboard, which is a huge deal. It's a major platform to be premiered on. So what was that like for you to have all that publicity?
Come Through was premiered on Billboard. It was like incredible. Yeah, that was I just did not expect that. I didn't really expect that at all. So, I mean, obviously you hope for the best, but that was a pretty huge blessing, like, way to start. Because Come Through was my first single from this project, and I really feel like this project is, like, my true beginning in so many ways. Like, when I finally kind of think that, you know, like, I'm like, okay, this is that I want to share. So for them to premiere it, it just was like, yeah, it was just like, that's cool. That's like, it's nice to be seen by a publication that you really respect. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
And then what about any upcoming music? I know that the EP is set out to come out next year, but what can you tell us about that or anything in the meantime?
Yesterday, I actually put out a cover on Spotify. It's my favorite song of all time. Well, one of them. I can't say my favorite there. And I love Chris Isaac. He's sexy AF still. But Wicked Game. I put that out yesterday. It's a live recording, so that was super fun. We recorded it live in studio, and there's a video of it, and that's like, it's the first cover I've ever like recorded and put out. So it's cool. Like, people are vibing with it. It showcases a different part of my voice, and like, I freaking love the song. And then I'm actually gonna put out another music video and single November 9th.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. The next single, When You're in Love. There, I gave you all the dirt. So
thank you.
Super excited about that.
Super excited as well.
And then in the new year, like I'm gonna put out the record sometime next year, early-ish. And so I'm just like working up to it.
Awesome. And then I have to ask, because I saw your Spotify bio and I love it to pieces. And so in case people don't know what your bio is, it's I don't talk shit unless it's in a song. Always keep an open heart unless you did me wrong. So why is that your bio, and can you tell me about it?
Up until a few days ago, it was like something like, I usually write breakup songs, and I usually write breakup songs about how you're better off. P.S. You probably are. That was it before. And then I was like, you know what? I don't just write breakup songs. I'm gonna switch this up. And yeah, I don't know. I just like, I feel like it's Spotify, and I just was like, sometimes I just, like, I obviously have a bio that's like a regular bio.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just kind of feel like sometimes it's just, people don't really read that shit anyways.
I always read it, so. It's a great way to brand yourself.
Like, I just was like, I want something just entertaining, true, and short. And like, if you get it, like, that's the thing. Like, it's also kind of like, when you read it and you're like, okay, like, you get my vibe a little.
Yeah, for sure. I loved it.
Because if they really want to know more in depth, like, you could just Google me. There's like, it's out. There's interviews. Like, that's just more like showing a little bit. I feel like the fact that it's like that is like, it's my personality, you know?
For sure.
And just like facts. Like, who gives a fuck? Do you like the music? Like, really? Care where I was born. And if you do, well, I don't have a Wikipedia page yet, but I'm good. But yeah, so, yeah, and it's definitely true. Like I said earlier, you could just talk all the shit you want in music and people just love it.
I definitely think it's the most iconic bio on Spotify, and I think there should be like an award for that.
I love it, thank you. I'll accept it.
And then, as we're wrapping up, do you have any advice to young women trying to establish a name for themselves, really in any industry? Because I feel like you've done a pretty good job of that.
Thank you. You know, my advice would be, to, like I said, like, if you're a young artist starting out, find your confidence and find your strength in your craft and in, like, the discipline of your craft and working on it every day, and so much confidence will just come from that. That knowledge that you've put in the work to yourself. So much comes from that. It took me so long to learn that because I always was searching for it outside of myself, and I thought it was going to come from some connection from somebody else. Other people and relationships are also so important for your journey. It's just very important that you are also developing your sense of self and sense of artistry, you know, independent from others as well. Like, you know, especially in the beginning, just to like figure out what you like. And you know what? I would say just also, you know, like, you can't be afraid to try things. Like, I look back on a lot of the mistakes that I made, and I'm like, you know, they also made me who I am. So the best, like, you can only do your best. Try to be as straightforward as possible. You know, you can just try to be upfront with people because, like, it's hard. but at the same time, it makes everything so much easier down the way. And have fun, and don't take it so seriously. Like, remember that it's art and it's expression, and you're supposed to fail before you get something right. You're supposed to fail like 1,100,000 times, and then you like get the thing that you love. It's all about doing the wrong thing to figure out what the right thing is.
Sure.
So, and that's everyone. And also, there's ups and downs, and when the downs come, you're not alone. I always used to feel like, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm so down. Like, you know what? That's just like life. And that's in any industry. So it's like some days you're going to feel like you don't know you do not know what the fuck you're doing. And like, how did you get in the position you're at? And like, somebody's going to come and be like, you actually shouldn't be here. I don't know. But no, like, everybody feels like that. Everybody feels like they don't always know what they're doing. And anybody who tells you they don't is a motherfucking liar. So just like, dang, chicken wing. End of my tagline. Do your thing, chicken wing. And reach out to women who you admire. That's another thing, like, who you feel like they have careers or they're doing something and that you're like, that's cool. It never just hurts to reach out and be like, can I take you for a coffee? Like, ask you some questions, because sometimes girls will reach out to me and they'll be like, how did you become a singer? What would you suggest? And, and I love it. I always try to respond. So, you never know.
And then I always ask this question. I feel like it's kind of a tricky question, and there's no right or wrong answer. But if you could recommend another artist you think that deserves more attention in the music industry, or who would be an unheard gem, who would you recommend and why?
Well, I don't know if unheard, but he definitely should be bigger than he is. And that's one of my good friends / produced my last record with me / like amazing artist, producer, independent artist, Brevner. He's an MC. He's so dope. He's just, he's from Vancouver too. And he's made a lot of, like, he changed my life. When I started working with him, he's like, dude, you can do this on your own. You can do this on your own. Why aren't you producing yourself? Like, he really was all about helping me on that journey to self-empowerment. Just giving me like the nudge, like giving me like, dude, try this, try that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, so it's cool when there's an artist, like I said, in your community that can they're not trying to they're just, helping you get the tools. So, and he's also just dope as an artist.
Yeah. And then last question for everyone listening, where can they find you and your music?
They can find me at Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, all the streaming, Tidal, whatever, under Sophia Danai. So you'll spell it Danai. Sophia with a PH. You can find me anywhere. I'm all over the internet. And also, do people in Toronto, and anybody watches this, right? Like people.
Anyone
I have a show in Toronto, October 18th at Adelaide Hall, and then I have a show at the Commodore in Vancouver, November 11th, opening for the Boom Booms, which is both venues I'm super excited to play. I have always wanted to play at both of these places, and I get to do it, so I'm stoked. So if you're in the area, come.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us on Unheard Gems today. It was really great getting to know more about you and your music.
You too, Hannah. You too. And you and your company. I'm so happy to support, and I think it's awesome what you're doing for artists.
Take your shot, make me bleed, watch me down.